Welcome back to Heat Check. This is your stock market weekly update. Let's jump right into it. As many of you may know, Donald Trump did pause most of the reciprocal tariffs, but he did continue with the tariffs on China and did hike them. As you can see, almost all trading partners except China will now be subjected to the same baseline, quote unquote, 10% tariff rate rather than all the additional tariffs rate that he implemented on his Liberation Day last week. So this sent the stock market up significantly on the day that he announced this. However, you can see even on the week, most of the sectors are still in kind of deep red territory across the board, except for your kind of technology services. A lot of them seem to be flat, except for Apple. So let's take a peek at the 5-day performance. So as you can see, it's actually flat over the last 5 days. However, at one point it was down like nearly 7%. And then really once this announcement came through on the Wednesday, it jumped significantly. That was about 8.5%. I think at one point it was up, about 10% from the lows, which is pretty wild to see that in a single day, jumping about 10%. But that's kind of the way the market's been moving. It's very, very volatile. We'll jump into the VIX. So Volatility Index, as you can see, we've been up and down, up and down, up and down on the week. It's kind of this fear and then euphoria and then fear and then euphoria. People think, the tariffs are being paused. Something's going to happen, and then he implements something else, and it's very much up and down, up and down. But really over the past month, you can see it's obviously still up significantly, up from kind of that pre-Liberation Day announcement of about 20, 22, 21, and we're still up in the 40s, which is really, it's still very, very volatile. Not surprisingly, with all these constant announcements between what's going on and whether he's implementing it, whether he's pausing it, and obviously we're spiking really 35, and we go all the way up into the 50s, then back down into 37, and then up into the 50s, and then back down to 33, and then back up into the 50s. So, and right now we're at 41. So it's a pretty wild market. I would say definitely a roller coaster. So fear and greed index, we are at 8. Again, last week we were at 3 about a week ago today. So still very much extreme fear, as you can see, well below still the 125-day moving average, even though we did have this dramatic kind of uptick after he announced the 90-day pause on the tariffs worldwide, except for China. And then, still we kind of dropped down below. Maybe I think it's about a 2 or 3% drop there on the day, but again, still well below the 125-day moving average. So definitely not a bullish sign there. The 52-week highs and lows, definitely lots of lows in the New York Stock Exchange. Stock price breadth, still an extreme fear. Put and call options, we are at that 1 mark. So last week we were at about, I think it was about 0.9. So now we're at 1, which is pretty wild. So we have 1 put, 1 call. It's an even ratio essentially at this point. Stock market volatility, like we discussed, we're still well above the long-term trend, which is, or I guess your 50-day moving average, sitting currently at, I think we said it was about 40 there. So junk bond demand is in fear, and really everything across the board is still fear. There's no kind of significant signal that is pointing in the bullish direction at the moment, but we'll see kind of how this pans out. So this is the ASX 200. This is your Australian index. More of a mixed bag across the sectors. I can see there's kind of pockets of green and pockets of red. Doesn't seem to be kind of more or less located to a single sector. So on the 5-day performance, we have more or less flat on the 5-day performance, but again, we are definitely up from where we were. So they were about a week ago. We've been up about 7.6% from to the highs, and kind of more or less leveled off, kind of dropped a little bit down about 2%. So on the week we are flat. However, really, if you from here, we're about 5.4% up. So a pretty good bounce. Again, this is probably due to the pauses that Trump put on the tariffs worldwide, and that kind of signaled a lot of well, yeah, I would say a fair bit amount of it took fear off of. I wouldn't say it's necessarily bullish, but I would say it definitely took some fear out of the market for now, for the next well, hopefully for the next 90 days. We'll see. This could change next week. So this is the Canadian index. This is your TSX composite. I would say definitely on the week this is deep red, really across the board except for non-energy materials. So which is like your mining, more or less. Your mining or your gold. But yeah, wow, just every single sector more or less is in the red across the board, and it's not even like light red; it's deep red. Financials really took a hit. Technology services, energy especially, like with the oil price plummeting. As you can see, most of the oil stocks are down. Almost all I think probably all of them are down double digits on the week, which is a wild ride for energy. And even utilities, these are your stable companies. It's pretty wild to see some of these utilities down on the week, like even in the deep red. Normally, they don't have big swings, big fluctuations week to week because it's typically predictable cash flow because they're on fixed contracts. But yeah, wow. I would say probably on the week, Canada is probably doing the worst. As you can see, we are down 4.5%. So not surprising based on the heat map. I think at one point we were down about nearly 8%, which is not great. And then obviously a big spike up, about 6% or so, and then kind of drop down about 3%. So let's see when we compare all three of them. These are the results for the week. We have, at the end of the week, we have the TSX down the most. It's actually, well, the only one down, down 2.18%. And then we have the S&P 500 flat on the week, which is pretty wild based on the volatility, but we are flat at the end of the week, or I guess Thursday for them. And then for the ASX 200, we are actually up on the week, which is pretty good to see. So we're up about 5.52% for the week. And that is your heat check. So I hope you like the video. If you could leave a like, that'd be great. And thanks for watching.